they say all men are created equal.
Shot! Master!
I'll pull out the Glock. Full of suffering, succotash, son.
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle, and yeah, we're back with another episode. Last week was a bit chaotic, a bit different, but we're back to sort of pretty much like the usual format that we were doing before, which is a Dynamite review. So Dynamite was yesterday or last night for us in the UK. I didn't stay up to watch it, I've just watched it now. It was all right, but before we get into that, got a few more questions.
It was all right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about the questions.
A glowing review. Yeah, we'll get into that. So yeah, I had quite a lot of questions. So we're gonna split them up again. So if you're listening and you're waiting for your question, you don't hear it, don't worry. We'll probably do it next week. So we had a question from Jasmine, which was, who is the best ring announcer ever? And she put on the as like a little caveat to that, and why is it Samantha Irving? And I completely agree. I think
Really?
ever is like, that's a bold statement to make of all time.
Ever.
But
It's crazy,
but to me, she does stand out as definitely the best currently, and no one else springs to mind of her caliber. Like at WrestleMania, the passion, the emotion that she brought to it, I think it really added to the show. And
yeah,
people,
I don't.
like saying on social media that she was overreacting can just suck my
Yeah,
dick.
there was some really weird reactions. Like some people being like, "Oh, there's some like a lot of misogyny, which shocking
Yeah.
misogyny in wrestling of like she's being too emotional, and we don't
100%.
need that emotion in wrestling." Despite the fact that grown men will cry over like The Undertaker and.
Yeah,
That's okay, but as soon as a woman cries or a woman is like expressing like emotion and sensitivity, that would be too much. So that was
exactly.
really interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It's just screams of misogyny, doesn't it? I think she's great. I think there's a case to be had for Justin Roberts. He's very good, but I don't know. I think she's better. I think that's where I'm falling on that argument. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really think of Samantha Irving. Also, I don't watch WWE consecutively, but
Yeah.
she is an amazing. Like now you said it, I'm like, yeah, she is an amazing ring announcer. I mean, ever. I don't know, like going back, like you got The Think, you've got Mean Gene,
Mm-hmm.
and Justin Roberts. I think for me, just for my preferred style out of, because obviously there isn't that many great ring announcers. Especially like WWE before, it was kind of just like the Lillian Garcia and then JoJo after that kind of, and it's kind of like the backstage interviewer role where it's just generic, nice looking woman doing it really.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I don't know where I stand on like ever. I guess we have to see like how Samantha Irving's complete career is and how like Justin Roberts' complete career is. Also, like I say, we talked about, I think, Mean Gene's big shoes to fill. But I think in terms of preference, I just prefer Justin Roberts a bit more. I'm not really answering the question, but that's just my. But I think I love the way she stylistically does it, but then again, Justin Roberts does it as well, and I think that's a great sign of both of them are great. Like that way of like Jon Moxley and Gunther and the way she does Chelsea Green and just that style, it really adds to it. But that would be like my preference.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I mean, that makes sense considering that you predominantly watch AEW. Like, it would add up that that's the like. And I'm not just saying, oh, it's just because you watch AEW that you prefer him, but you know what I mean. I just mean that it makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's hard. Yeah, we're not, like you said, we're not really answered the question, but it's a hard one to answer. But yeah. So Jasmine asked another question, which is, which wrestler do you think could drink the most Nando's extra hot sauce? Now, I don't know, because I feel like John Moxley could probably put quite a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of that
gotta be
back.
like some kind of like death match wrestler. I feel
Yeah,
like Orange Cassidy would no sell it.
he
So I'm just
would.
gonna go with Orange.
And you wouldn't tell if it's affecting him or not. Yeah.
Or Suzuki, I feel like he'd no sell it as well.
Yes, that is so true. That's incredibly true. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think when you said deathmatch, I thought, and my mind immediately went to Swerve and Hangman, and I feel like Hangman probably could.
Maybe that's the end of the feud. We just get them in a room and we just give them, a bottle of hot sauce each. And
Mm,
like, do you know the end of the Scooby-Doo live action movie? Where they do that at the end and they're like down the bottle of hot sauce.
that's how we end it. That's how we end the blood feud. Perfect.
Exactly.
Book it, Tony.
Booker of the year.
Um, Next question is from Austin, who's simply asked Jack Perry, W or L?
Obviously, W. Did you see the reaction he got in Chicago?
Oh my
Turns
God.
out controversy does build character. Who would have thought?
He was so boring before. Like,
But he's always been
I
great in
know.
ring. He's always been great in
Oh
ring.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah. So I'm not taking that away from him, but he was very, to me, boring, and he's not boring now. That's a W.
No, no. And the same was said about Reigns. Look at Reigns now. So
Mm.
get just get in as an early W for Jack Perry, and it's gonna be so much more satisfying. I've been saying since day one. When he,
Yeah,
when he
can
comes back and he gets
confirm.
into his tribal chief era, when
God.
he's like on his 1,000 day long AEW heavyweight champion fucking reign, and you'll
Oh,
be like,
can't.
Estelle, you were right.
Wow, comparing Jack Perry to Roman Reigns, that's I'm sure that a lot of people probably disagree, but that's what we're all about.
Controversy breeds character.
Yeah, we have just said that, so
So there you go.
100%. Yeah, I think W. I like you say, like coming out of all of this, he's got he's got the chance to turn it into the biggest W of all time, and he's well on his way to doing that.
Mm.
So yeah, absolutely agree. And so the last question that we'll do today is from the Atomic Pro Wrestling Instagram account. If you've not been to an Atomic show, you should definitely go to one. They're based in Liverpool. They sell out every single time they put a show on. So that hopefully gives you an idea of how good the shows are, but you got to be quick to get your tickets because they do sell out, like I said. So who they said to me, who should Atomic book who they haven't booked before? I do commentary for Atomic, so they've had a lot of really good wrestlers, a lot of really good matches. I'm biased because Natalie Sykes is my friend, but you should definitely book Natalie Sykes. She's amazing. Um, she, you know, tag team, women's wrestling, intergender wrestling, whatever the fuck, like very good wrestler. Who else? I think. Well, I mean, Teddy Ray's already there. He's amazing, and he came from the same wrestling school as Lucas Neon and Will Carter, and they're both very good, very young, very underrated. Would love to see them get more places. And I was gonna say Rio, but she's actually wrestled them before. I'd love to see her come back. She's very good as well. Uh, yeah,
The
Scotty Rock
expertise
maybe.
opinion.
Scotty Rock is really good too. Yeah, there's loads. There's so many. Just book them all. Just book them all. That's what I say.
I think Lucy just needs her own promotion
Oh
one
yeah.
day.
You know what? Like with us
Oh,
like talking about how we do things right, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll cripple under the pressure. Absolutely, like
yeah.
seeing the promoters
It's
running
not
around on
easy.
show day. Yeah, and the amount of stress that they're under and their blood pressure is through the roof. I'm like, would not be able to cope with that whatsoever.
We're just here
But
to
props to them all.
criticize and
Mm,
also just say what we think we would do because obviously
yeah,
we know everything
yeah,
because
exactly.
we
And
watch it,
then
so clearly we know everything.
yeah, and then not do it, not try and do it ourselves.
No,
That's what
no,
podcasters
why would
do, right?
we? That's what the IWC does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of great talent on the indie scene, and it's great that you get to go to so many places and get to see so many people. It'll
Yeah,
be
I feel
interesting, and I'm
yeah.
so interested to see, like, 'cause obviously there are some people that you've commented on that have gone to like TNA and gone to Japan, and it's interesting to see like where people are going and stuff, and like seeing from day one.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit for these guys. Like, they're really willing to put the work in and go that extra mile. Like, some people love to criticize the independent scene. It's like, why are you busting your ass in front of 30 people or something? But first of all, most shows, like the independent scene in Britain, is really thriving. A lot of shows, like I said, do sell out, over 100 people in attendance. But even if it was just in front of 30 people, it they're doing it because they love it, and I think that's amazing. And their talent is incredible. And just the fact that, indie wrestlers don't get paid much, but they're willing to go out there, put their bodies on the line to try and earn more money somewhere else. And even if they're not, some of them don't even want to do that. They just literally do it as a hobby and they do it because they love it. And
Yeah, I think that's the beauty
really
of it in at
special.
the indies. You have to be passionate about it, not even as a
Yeah,
wrestler, like you as a commentator. You can't do it. You're not in it for the money, and you're not in it
exactly.
for you have to be in it because you live, breathe wrestling. So
Precisely. And the promoters too, it's the same with them. I think most of them run on a loss. So it's literally for the love of the game that you do it. Like you say, you can't be in it for the money because you're quickly out of it. So yeah, some interesting questions. We've got some more for next week too. So thank you all. If you've got
yep, thank
any
you.
more, feel free to stick them in the comments as well. But I guess we better get on to talking about
Open up
Dynamite.
the all right show, according
Mm,
to Lucy. Um, my take, I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, for the mid shows that it's been the past, I think 3 weeks.
mm,
We didn't actually actively review it last week, but we did touch on the fact that it was pretty mid. Um, but yeah, I felt like I'm definitely excited for Dynasty, and I think that's the point. It's a go home show.
yeah, precisely.
So
Yeah,
as
it
long as
did.
I'm excited for the angles, then it did
Yes.
all right in my book.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it did what it needed to do to get everyone excited for Dynasty. Like, it furthered a lot of feuds in a
Yeah.
short amount of time. So that's, clearly what it needed to do.
Yeah, so shall we just get into it?
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
ready? So yeah, cold open with Mox coming out, which is great, especially like after these mid few weeks to get Mox out straight away.
Mm,
Because as we've always said, he's such a consistent, valuable team player. And obviously he just picked up the win at the weekend in Chicago with the IWGP Championship from Naito. So yeah, he came out, he cut a promo, and put over the match, put over the belt, put over like the naysayers of like, well, why has he won this belt? Like, what's the point? And what's the point in AEW? And kind of, um, yeah, just put over his own toughness. Just did cut the typical John Moxley impassioned promo,
mm,
which is, as I've said, he's just surmised as being reliable. He's such a reliable worker. Um, yeah, I couldn't if he was on my roster, I couldn't pay him enough because
yeah,
yeah,
I completely agree. And he's such a star, isn't he? Like, he's such a natural on the microphone. Like you say, it's like the classic John Moxley promo, but that doesn't mean that it's like boring or the same as last time.
always boosts the morale, always.
Mm, yeah, and
Um,
I love the fact that he's shaved his head. Sorry, this is like not
yeah, no,
worth
no, no,
talking
he
about at
did.
all,
No,
but
it's totally worth talking about. It's the first time he shaved all his hair off, so he's looking extra like grizzled and
yeah, I think
tough.
he suits it as well, especially with the little earring. Oh my God, beautiful. Love it. 10 out of 10 from me.
There you go, Lucy's BCC appreciation minute of the podcast.
An extra
There'll be
bald
more
man.
because BCC was quite prevalent over this show, which is nice to see them back in the mix of things because they were kind of out of it for a while.
Yeah,
So
they were kind of like holding up Collision, which is
yeah,
great. That's fine. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, give them enough time on a different show instead of shoehorning them in on Dynamite. But no, it was great to see them on Dynamite this week.
yeah. So Mox essentially challenged Hobbs at the main event next week. After Don Callis family attacked Danielson. So that's kind of like the feud, which kind of threaded throughout the night. Because obviously we've got at Dynasty Osprey versus Danielson and we also had Claudia versus Osprey as the main event of this. So it's all very interweaved. And yeah, like I just say, it was just nice to sort of see him back because, like you say, yeah, they're reliable and yeah, they're very pure wrestling focused. And so they kind of fit the style of Collision, but you want those types of workers on Dynamite where sometimes it can be a bit sporadic and it can kind of lose its identity a bit.
Yeah, it was good to have, like you say, because it was interwoven. It sort of like anchored the whole show, and
Yeah.
that was really effective. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, so that was off to a strong start, and then we cut to the back with Monet talking about being attacked last week. She talking of looking amazing, she did look pretty amazing.
Yeah,
And
the rainbow.
promos
Wow.
at the best, but like this one wasn't as wooden, like it got the point, maybe because it was just point like just a 2 point promo. It was yeah, I think when they put her out there with the mic for 10 minutes, that's when we kind of get lost. But in these short style, to the point, I'm the boss, someone's attacked me. It's like, okay, that's like an okay use of her. And she called out Julia as the person who attacked her when the lights went out, but as well kind of in like the Willow match, and Willow was later attacked, which we will get into, but is it as straightforward as do you think Julia is the attacker? Like, what was your takeaway from this? Because I
Well,
feel like they kind of were leading us to sort of question it throughout the show.
yes, I agree. It wasn't confirmed at all, and it was sort of like, yeah, like you say, kind of led you to think it could have been someone else, and yeah, I kind of hope it was someone else. Like,
Yeah,
it makes no
it'd be way
sense.
more interesting if it's like, say, Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter. That would elevate it a lot more.
Yeah, it would probably wouldn't really make sense story-wise because we're kind of leading to that feud, but yeah, like you say, it would be way more interesting.
Yeah.
Like, predictable doesn't mean that it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like again, like it probably is Julie because obviously Lights Out, House of Black, that's how they
Yeah.
attack, and the commentary put that over. But then it did really make like the way they were presenting it, like they wanted you to question it. But I don't know if
Yeah.
that's like if it is going to be someone else, but I would prefer if they would pivot. And talking about like pivoting, we're kind of getting sidetracked, but I don't think Undisputed Kingdom were on this show. There was a little vignette with Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy later on for their match, but like pivoting is so important. Like going for the most interesting option because we're looking at Undisputed Kingdom right now, and they weren't even on TV this week, because of Adam Cole's injury. And it's like if we pivoted away and made the devil someone else, it would be like more interesting. And that's the thing about AEW is it's not. As soon as there's like an injury involved, i.e., in this instance, Monet is injured. They haven't come out and said it, but we all kind of know she's injured because otherwise she would be on the Dynasty card fighting.
Yeah, she
So as
said
soon as there's
that,
like an
didn't she?
injury, it just
She sort of said like, or by, is it All Out or All In, that she said, or by, or Double or
I think it's
Nothing at
double or
one of the
nothing.
one
Double
of
or
the
nothing's when
pay-per-views.
she's
Yeah,
confirmed.
she said when I'm healthy again, so she pretty much confirmed it. But
Mm.
yeah, like you
But
said, it's important to be able to have the flexibility to be like, right, this ain't going in the direction we need it to go in. Let's go a different direction. Yeah, it's a shame.
but I hope like they've learned from like Undisputed Kingdom and past situations with injuries, and hopefully like that isn't off the table.
Mm,
But I have a feeling that they probably haven't decided who it is, and it probably is going to be Julia Hart, but he
yeah,
just hasn't decided. Like knowing Tony and knowing Tony's booking, that's what I read from it.
yeah. I was
But
gonna say the same thing. I feel like they're just kind of waiting to see. I don't know how they're gonna decide, but just waiting, maybe possibly to see like audience reaction, maybe to the match at Dynasty,
yeah.
and just see what happens.
So and then in the next part, like I said, it was the mixed tag with Adam Copeland joining forces with Willow Nightingale to take on Julia Hart and Brody King. And it cut to the back, and Willow was attacked, which was quite exciting. It kind of cut it up a bit more. Obviously,
Mm.
you knew she was going to come out towards the end as like a bit the babyface save. God, what a babyface save she made. But I did adding that in, it did make me question it more. Like, what if she's the one? Even though it wouldn't make sense to turn her heel, I don't think. But what if she was the one who attacked not Sasha, Monet, and then is like feigning an injury? What if Monet? I don't I don't know, because then again it doesn't make sense, but it did sort of make me like question things a bit.
That
bit more.
that would be interesting. I'd be into that. And yeah, it wouldn't make sense to turn Willow heel. It would make sense the other way around if you turned.
But then again, Monet got attacked, so did she attack herself? You know,
Yeah.
which would be less. I don't know. I'm confusing myself at this point. It's more exciting than what it was when we started, but it is still very convoluted.
Yes, it's convoluted. It should just be straightforward. Said this like pretty much every week since she's come back, I think.
But yeah, so the match started with a 2-on-1 advantage, but not really, because Julie didn't really get involved. But it was more so, I guess, an advantage in the fact that Copeland couldn't
Tag
out, and
Yeah.
yeah. But then again, I don't know, because that doesn't like fully make sense either, because he can do a 1-on-1 match anyway, because he's a single person, so why would it be that much of a disadvantage anyway? Now I'm just totally poking. Everything's got holes in now. Once I start like poking, it's like, oh.
Never
But
stop poking holes.
yeah, anyway, Brody King kind of beat him down for a bit, then Copeland gained the advantage back, which, like I say, like, it was never like he was disadvantaged.
Mm.
And then Willow came out and did an amazing crossbody to Brody, which I was not expecting him to go like in kind of that intergender wrestling style.
I wasn't
but
expecting it.
It was awesome. And then obviously she did like the cannonball in the corner. And it was just like, oh, I was so happy that she got that moment, and she's so over with the crowd, and the crowd was really into it. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was really good to see. Like, yeah, it just makes her seem proper legit, and it was like why not? Why wouldn't she do that? So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, she's
great.
definitely got the same like the physicality to take on a man. It's believable. It's not like,
Mhm.
tiny petite woman like doing a suplex on a guy. It's which is what people kind of complain about with intergender wrestling. But like
Yeah.
that, like the Candice LeRae sort of stuff. Again, I'm not dunking on that, but I'm just
That's
talking
what
about.
that's what people
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
complain
but
about.
but you can't really say that of Willow, because like I feel like, yeah, she could take on Brody King in a
Mhm.
fight.
Yeah, it was
Um,
believable.
but yeah, and then Julia attacked Willow with Brody's chain, and I think it was in a submission, right?
Yeah.
Submission victory. Monet came out, had a chair. Um, Julia and Brody retreat, and then she kind of holds onto the chair for like a moment too long, while Copeland's kind of sussing her out, and Willow's kind of looking at her like, "What are you gonna do?" And commentary are like, "Oh, well, she's still not over that ankle injury that happened a million years ago."
Yeah. And
So
also, was it
yeah,
last week when? Yeah, I think it was when Willow was cutting a promo, and Mercedes sort of came out and just pretty much stole the spotlight from her completely.
yeah.
I felt like that's effective because yeah, you would be pissed off if you were Willow Nightingale and this lass has come in, she's not done any work, not putting in anywhere near as many matches as you have, and is just stealing your spotlight.
I feel
I
like what would be more
get behind
interesting though
that.
with tension is the real life story of she's come in on this massive contract, and
Yeah.
she's said openly, and this is, it's real, it's a shoot. She said that she's been going around saying, "Oh, I'm gonna leave for WWE," and then what I'd be more interested in is like an old timer, like Britt Baker. Sorry, I can't let it go.
Oh,
Britt
Britt
Baker
Baker.
coming out, the OG, and finally doing that OG versus newbie story of like what they tried to do with Saraya and Jamie Hayter and that, and it all kind of fell through because of like with the Outcasts and the OGs. That was kind of the thing, wasn't it? And it all kind of fell through because of Hayter's injury. But if they sort of did that and put that over, and then that's like the tension, because she's coming in like trying to be the best, and then like backstage, like you could have Shivani being like, "Oh my god, like we're so happy to have you here," and Tony Khan like could come out and like shake her hand and be like, "Oh my god, we're so happy," and like doting on it, and then like the resentment of the other women,
Mm.
that would be more interesting.
That would be because then you'd have you definitely have the bit of like maybe it's kind of real. Like you say, it's built on a real
But rather
story,
than
and then
I'm upset over an ankle injury that happened a while ago and I was only out for like a short while. Like it's not like a career threatening.
mm,
Well, it was like career threatening, but do you know what I mean? It's not
I
like
feel
Adam. If
yeah,
Adam Copeland came back and I'm not, as Edge and he came back and he was like, I'm pissed off at fucking Brodus Clay. So that'd be a shit feud. But I'm saying like that. You know what? He's entitled to be pissed off about that. But like for like a little ankle injury.
yeah. I feel yeah, you're right. You are right. It's like the the idea to use a real life story and build from that is there, but they've picked a pretty weak story. Whereas you say the
You've got
newcomer,
one right there.
yeah, exactly, the newcomer coming in, that seems like lightning in a bottle that they've kind of missed. And they could do that in the future with Brit still, but then it loses that instant impact that it would have had if you just did it when she just arrived in the first place.
Yeah. So then we cut backstage to Renee conducting an interview with Joe, and they were discussing Swerve. Obviously, that will be the main event of Dynasty, and how Swerve just hasn't been able to get the job done. Um, despite how hard he tries, and Joe kind of compared him to a punching bag, essentially. And Renee commented on last week his frustration because obviously we don't see Joe lose face often, but last week when Swerve had the belt, um, he sort of, you could see that frustration, and he just kind of played it off like, oh well, I was just concerned about, the
And to
the hygiene
disinfect
of
the
the
belt.
belt.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost like, Joe is that character of he's chill, he's calm, he's collected, he's gonna kill you, but it's almost like the way I kind of read his character and with Swerve is it's like he can't even admit to himself that like he could beat him or anyone could beat him because like I don't know, like he can't, I don't know how to put it into words, he can't even to acknowledge it is just too much for him. Like he has to always be that calm, cool, collected
Hmm. Yeah,
figure.
like he can't entertain the idea of anyone ever possibly being better than him. To him, it's like it's just incomprehensible. It's
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for surmising that.
like he
Which
is
is
just
really
the best.
interesting. It's interesting and because you don't really see that with a lot of like the champions in AEW, a lot of the their confidence, it just it's not as their insecurities are more like exposed with a lot of the characters in AEW. So they're quite like it makes Joe seem like he's not as multi-dimensional, but he is because it's just more subtle is my point. And I
Yeah,
love that
'cause
about Joe. I don't know
yeah,
why I'm really struggling to get my point across, but yeah.
I know what you mean because he showed that he's not one dimensional last week when he lost his shit when Swerve had his belt. But he didn't lose
Mm.
his shit as in he went and attacked him, although he did attack him, but he was just his facial expressions and his body language was like he's losing it.
Like
So,
MJF was very similar in that when the belt was so precious to him, and obviously with the Cole feud, when he would like touch the belt, he'd be like overly emotional about it, which made sense for the Max character. Um, but Joe's kind of similar, but like toned down just like a notch. But it works so well.
mhm,
It
yeah,
just works so well.
he pulls it off
And obviously
incredibly well.
the whole story of Swerve is he's been counted out, he's been second guessed. He works so hard and like yeah, the crowd's behind him, but it's not enough. So for Joe, like I've always said, Joe's the perfect foil because Joe is literally just disregarded. He's not even going to entertain it.
Mhm.
Like,
He don't give a fuck. He actually does not care.
and that just eats Swerve alive, and that's why it's just it's great.
Hmm.
Because you want to see Joe lose his shit in the match now. Like that's what I want. I want Swerve to. Obviously, we want Swerve to win at Dynasty. We're all rooting for him, but like we just. Oh, it's just like that bully. Like you're just like, yeah, fuck
Mm,
you for counting him out.
100%. That's that's wrestling in a nutshell, I think.
That's
It's like
wrestling.
that's like
I'm
yeah.
just trying to explain wrestling here, people.
No, but what I mean is that's like the quintessential wrestling story that I think It's simple, but it's
That David Goliath
yeah. It's like my
basic.
favorite. It's like this guy, he's big, he's bad, he's a bully, and he doesn't believe you can beat him. And then well, I think him not
It's
believing that you
simplistic,
can,
it's subtle,
yeah,
but
that's
it
his,
works so
yeah,
well.
that cockiness is end up being his downfall. So
Exactly. So then next up we got the FTR versus Bucks package. And I'm loving how like the Bucks just keep breaking the fourth wall. So they
yeah.
interrupt the video package to kind of voice over it like, whoa,
Hmm.
this is rubbish. And then it cuts back and they're just like, what the hell is that? Tony Khan's just there, like an NPC in the corner, nodding along with the heel.
Yeah.
Tony Khan is such a great on-screen character. I wish he was on screen more because whenever he's on screen, like, and not in the screen of like, here's the Owen Cup and shaking hands like a robot or like at a press conference, like when he's just on screen, like acting like a manager, like the boss of the show. He's so entertaining. Like,
He's
I
just
remember
not
in
doing anything. It's
yeah,
so
I
strange.
remember in the Cole and MJF thing, and they would do, I think it was a kangaroo kick bit, and then he took him back to the office and he was like screaming at him, and then he came out like all smiley and happy. Like he's great. He's great. But I just found it funny the way he was just nodding along with him, like,
Yeah,
yep.
it's so funny that like I mean when you think about it, that's well sort of their boss, but he's letting them do whatever they want. It's
Mm.
it's so
It
daft,
just
but
builds
so
into the
funny.
heat.
Yes, exactly. It just that's what everyone thinks they do, so fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can tell it's like an inside joke for them as well.
Mm.
Um, but the books are there with Okada, and they say that they'll put it up on social media. Um, so yeah, that was pretty nice. And then we had the match with like the Elite, as in the Bucks and Okada, versus Penta, Garcia, and Pac. It was a fantastic match as to be expected. The athleticism of all of them is
Hmm.
just on point. And obviously Garcia links in because he's under the tutelage of FTR to be a serious wrestler. Even though like that storyline, because it's been so neglected, I thought we dropped it, but I guess we just brought it
Yeah,
back for convenience sakes. Because
yeah,
Garcia's a funny one because like they seem to put like like accelerate him, strap him to the rocket and set it off, and then like the next week
forget.
it's all gone. I really don't understand.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't have the chance to build any momentum because, like you say, it's like, whoa, big exciting thing, and then oh, we've run out of fuel and we're just crash landing and nothing's happened of it. We're just like
Yeah,
fizzling
we're back.
out.
We're back to the dance.
Hmm.
We always go back to the dance. Anyways, the standout for me was during the picture in picture, and then when they came back, they did it a little bit. Matt doing the play by play as
Yeah,
he was like wrestling. And the
yeah,
books were
that was
back to
really
doing their
funny.
wacky thing of like they'll take a move and go, no, 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 or shit. Like it's just so dumb. And they did it when they were faces as well. But like
It's more of
doing
a
it
heel
as like
thing, I think,
heels.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's more
It's
of a
like,
they've
yeah.
always wrestled very heel. Um,
Mm,
but it was great. And I loved the threads of this. There was multiple because the first thread is Pac and Okada who have the match at Dynasty. But then you've also got the FTR and Young Bucks because it's like Young Bucks are kind of sticking it to FTR through Daniel Garcia. So you
mm.
got kind of a 2-for-1 sort of deal there, which was nice.
Yeah, it was quite effective the way they had a few storylines in one match, and it was
Yeah.
carrying them on subtly. I feel like if you were just watching that and you didn't really know about the stories, you could just enjoy it as a really entertaining match. And it's nice that if you are, like many AEW viewers are, interested in the story and where it's going, then it's still continuing it on. It's not like an exhibition match for the sake of putting these guys in the ring together for no reason. It's like there's reason to it.
Yeah, and with a trio, like often one person can get lost in it or like in trio matches or even tag matches when it's building towards a title match, maybe it's just two competitors in there who have said match. Um, and that's where the tension is really, and then they'll build to the hot tag with those two in the ring, and then they'll have it and da 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 da. But it's nice that every single part of that match every minute, every move, every hold, every part of it, every the tension, it was all building towards something. So that was, no waste of talent then. That what talent there was in the ring, so why would you want to waste that?
100%.
But Okada picked up the win with the Rainmaker over Garcia, and then there was the post-match beatdown with the ladder, because obviously that tied in as well, because oh my God, it's gonna be a ladder match. How exciting. That is gonna be one to watch. I tell you
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
They are gonna tear the house down, FTR and the Bucks. That's gonna be magical, for sure. But Pac came back in and made the save with the ring bell
Mm.
announcer bell hammer, and kind of stood tall at the end of it. So yeah, it definitely left a lot of intrigue. Very effective match.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said before, it did what it needs to do, doesn't it? Which is makes you want to watch the pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Side note, Pac has always been like one of these people who's always in amazing shape. But oh my God, he's like bulked up severely. He's in incredible shape at the moment.
Yeah, I
Like
mean he always has been, but
yeah,
his
he's like
physique is insane.
yeah, his like shoulders look super broad, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
and his quads.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's gonna, like every match, like when they showed the card at the end, and we're gonna do our predictions at the end of this episode. But the card is just absolutely stacked. It's gonna be another pay-per-view of when do I go to the toilet? When do I get my snack? I don't know.
mm.
But the next segment was a Jericho Hook segment, and essentially there was a bit. They had a match last week, Jericho and Hook, and there was some kind of breakdown of communication, and they ended up losing the match. So essentially, Jericho's asked Taz to come out and mediate between them both. Um, it is interesting though, because Jericho has copyrighted the Jericho Vortex. So I kind of enjoyed this segment because I was like, I feel like there is a degree of self-awareness now, and we are building to something actually interesting. I am actually interested in this now because I feel like he knows, and he's playing into being that self-aware,
Mm.
that unwanted mentor who's actually sucking the life, but his character has no awareness. So it's nice that he's finally playing into the heat. Um, but yeah, basically was like, come on, like let's give it another go. Hook rejected him. Jericho's ego couldn't take this, and he essentially lashed out at Taz. Then there was a lot of tension. He was backed into the corner by Hook, who essentially demanded him to get out of the ring, and Jericho left. I think I would have liked to have seen maybe a bit of bit more confrontation. I get that Hook is like, he doesn't really need to say a lot, because like he doesn't say a lot and then he doesn't, it's a big moment, but he literally laid hands on his dad. So like I feel like I would have liked to have seen Hook like get a shot and then maybe pulled apart by security. That would have been more for me. It's like my only criticism, but it is
Yeah.
interesting.
I was expecting at least one of them to take a shot at the other one. Like, I thought maybe Jericho was going to take a cheap shot and just go full heel and just go all in on it, which I kind of wish they would do instead of, like we've said it before, like kind of dragging it out a bit. And it's very slow burn, which is sometimes fine, but I don't know. I'm ready for it to just be a full blown feud now.
Yeah, but I'm interested how we're going to go about it, because obviously I'm taking it as Jericho self-aware and he's that unwanted mentor. I thought if that's the case, like we'd build the, like, not build this part out, because this is like the climax of like the explosion. So like when there's that, you want it to be like full power, let's have the full physical altercation. I thought like in the before bit that they were going to stay as a tag team, Jerry Hook. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah.
Jerry Hook, Hook Line, I fucking know. But that we were going to start
Line
that, and the line hook, yeah, sorry. And the tension was going to be like in there, like a bit more. Um, I'm not complaining at the fact that it's already broken down, but like maybe commit to that a bit more. But I'm interested to see where it's gonna go. Like, is he just gonna keep being persistent to Hook, and then Hook's gonna just beat the crap out of him and write him off TV because he does have a tour coming up in the fall, so he will be being written off TV in some way.
Mm.
Or is he just gonna like start preying on other talent? I don't know, but I'm intrigued.
I know we've already seen Hook defeat Jericho, but I do think we need to see this kind of draw to a nice conclusion. But whether they drag that out all the way until they write him out of TV, yeah, I'm not sure. It would be great if Hook could be the one who writes him off and just beats him down, and then that's how they do it.
Yeah, I mean maybe like he has it out with Hook, but then he moves on to another talent, and then Hook kind of tries to be like, I know what you're doing right now, tries to persuade the other young talent or whatever that is under the Jericho vortex. Like, you're under the Jericho vortex, man. Like, this is not good for your career. And he keeps like sabotaging the mentorships, and that just builds and builds and builds it. And then eventually has it out and writes him off. That's the way I would do it.
That would be definitely interesting and
Rather than just
entertaining.
consecutively Hook versus Jericho.
Oh yeah, that's gonna
bring in
lose
more people.
momentum. Yeah, pretty soon.
Especially since, like we say, he's just attacked his dad. So, like, how much more can you elevate the
Yeah,
tension? We've already
yeah.
peaked. But yeah, so we'll see. It's intriguing. It's better than a punch in the face. You know, it's something. Next up, we had the Swerve interview this time, and he essentially said that he's going to come out later in the ring, and he wants Joe to join him in the ring. And that was the closing segment of the show, so we'll get into that. Next up, we had our women's match. We are back to one women's match. Oh no, we weren't. I guess we weren't because we had
Well,
the
it
my
depends
bad,
if
my
you
bad.
count.
We
Yeah,
had the mixed tag actually, my bad. But yeah, no, we had the Diona versus Mariah May match. So what did you think of that?
I thought it was a really good match. And I was really, I was really happy to hear the crowd were really into it too. There was like this is awesome chants and stuff. So very nice.
Yeah, they're both very they're both equally matched in like technical wrestlers, and they're both quite hard hitting
Mm,
in terms of like their strikes, so they're quite equally matched and their styles flowed together quite well.
mm,
Even though
yeah.
like their character work, what they're doing isn't the most interesting, they are you can't deny that they're not great wrestlers.
Hmm. Yeah,
They are great.
absolutely. I
And
think that Mariah May is doing really well with what she's been given. Like, I think she's playing the role of
yeah, definitely.
the
Like with what
Tony
they've been given.
Storm
Yeah.
sort of fan and like try to at the same time like come out of Tony Storm's shadow in a way. And I hope that there's going to be a good payoff with that.
Yeah, I think like I'm kind of ready to kick that up another gear now, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Diona picked up the win, and Tony interrupted, because obviously she was shown up via Mariah losing, and Thunder Rosa came in and put Tony Storm in a submission hold and took out her like face paint lipstick and embarrassed the champion by smearing it all over her face.
Which, like for Tony Storm's character, you can imagine for her that's very
Yeah, for her
embarrassing
character,
and yeah.
it makes sense, but it's just like for me, it's just not the angle that I get it because like for her character, it makes a lot of sense and it would get under her skin, but like
It
it
was just
just feels a bit
pretty, what's the word, like
mid,
like a bit flat.
especially for like women's wrestling. You know, like there's just something about it that left a weird taste in my mouth. Like the angle is that a woman put lipstick on another woman's face. Meanwhile, we've got men having like blood feuds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like
totally
it's
get what you
just
mean.
a bit. It was a bit of a side eye moment for me, but
Yeah, yeah, I totally get what you mean. That's a fair point. I didn't really
yes,
think anything of it. I was just like, whatever. I don't see how it made their feud more interesting or it didn't really add any sort of tension.
like a lipstick, really. Why don't she come out with, like a razor blade and like cut open her face or something? I don't know,
God.
like something a bit more
All right.
impactful than a no, but a lipstick, like Oh,
Yeah.
it's just pathetic. Like you're a wrestler, like punch your head in or something.
Yeah,
I don't
that's the
know.
thing.
I don't know. It's just for me, like that's just a bit. It's just a
If
bit.
if you were a wrestler and you wanted to beat this woman for a championship and you had her in that vulnerable position,
You put
surely that's
lipstick
not
all
the
over her
first thing
face.
you would do.
Like,
You'd smack her in the head and knock her out, right?
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Um. So next up, we had the Bang Bang Gang backstage, and they were putting over their feud with the Acclaimed, how they'd taken out, you know, they'd put an end to the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, and they basically put forward a challenge to the Acclaim that they'd put their Ring of Honor trios on the line for the actual, what is it? Just the trios, the
Uh,
AEW trios.
is it undisputed? I don't know.
Well, they will be undisputed when one of them gets both sets of belts,
Oh.
but what do you call it? It's just the trios. So yeah, they're putting on the Ring of Honor trios and they just want the trios,
Mhm.
which is whatever. What too many belts, yada yada. Um, and then it cut to the Acclaimed. Daddy Ass says, "No biggie. He's been beating up his kids since they were children. Somehow,
Mhm.
this man is the face in the
Yep.
story."
Yep.
Um, and yeah, that has been booked for Dynasty, title versus title. So next up, we got Shane Taylor versus Orange Cassidy. It was a great little match. They're both great competitors,
Mhm.
but it was pretty like, there isn't like a massive story behind it, so there's only so much investment you can have. I mean, the story was mainly post-match. Orange won with the Orange Punch. He was attacked by Moriarty and Anthony Ogogo, who has come back um on screen. Obviously, he's part of the Shane Taylor promotions now, but he wasn't being used for a while, and then he kind of beefed out in the dirt sheets about it. But
Mm.
obviously Wembley's coming up, so we need to we need to
Get
get
those
him back.
British stars in.
Yeah, get him on this morning. Get him on bloody Lorraine. Anyway, so after Orange won, he was attacked, as I say, by Shane Taylor's cronies. Trent came down, and it was interesting. He was wearing the Big One t-shirt where the best friends and Orange Cassidy win the Big One. I was like, that's interesting. And he came down and he watched as Shane Taylor striked the jaw of Orange Cassidy, and then he was put into like a submission with tension on his jaw. It was quite a gnarly sequence. I really
Mm.
liked it. Um and he just watched and let it happen. And then
Yeah.
Shane Taylor covered him in the Shane Taylor Promotions flag, which was a nice shot of the camera panning up. It was quite heartbreaking. Yeah, it was it
Yeah.
was quite
What a
it was definitely
bastard.
impactful. What a bastard, yeah, like to come out and just watch him and not say a word.
It's
Yeah.
like it's so simple but so effective. It's like, oh, you hate him for that. You hate him for that more than if he went and attacked him himself.
Do you know what I'm most excited for? In some of these feuds, I get, and it's kind of like that with the Bucks and Kenny, is that I get, it's not necessarily that I know that Trent's going to have it out with Orange Cassidy and they're going to like have that angsty fight. It's the fact that like I can't wait for that redemption of when they become friends again. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, and I love that about AEW, and a lot of feuds are built around that of like people losing their way and like going to the dark side because of like greed for like titles and greed for recognition. But then that's not the end of the feud. The end of the feud won't be Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy, and then that's it. And like Trent Beretta goes on his way. There'll be more nuance, and I know that like there'll be that beautiful moment of like the hug and give the people what they want. I can like see it in my
Yeah.
mind, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. Like the hurt, comfort, hurt, bloody
We
angst
we
on
love being
Wattpad.
hurt. We love being hurt.
AEW is just fan fiction, and like I know it'll be the same with the Elite, and like eventually in the future the Bucks will have a face turn, and I feel like Kenny's gonna come back, and this is kind of what I'm envisioning for Kenny. He comes back and he's like, I've been kicked out of the Elite. I need to take care of Okada. We're gonna do Okada versus Kenny at Wembley. Then he's gonna like kind of be like to the Bucks, what the hell are you doing? And he's always managed to talk sense into the Bucks whenever they've turned heel in the past. He always turns them back around. He's gonna be like, Hangman, what the hell are you doing?
Mm.
And like then we're gonna have Wayward Sons and we're gonna ride into the sunset.
Oh.
Um,
Oh.
I'm excited
Funny.
for that comfort after all the pain.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's like the healing moment
that
that we
heal, yeah, you always get that nice little healing moment. Like at the end of the matches with that handshake of recognition. Friendship has always been the crux of AEW.
that is so true. It's like brotherhood as well, isn't it? And sisterhood. It's like, yeah, friendship. It brings us all together.
Friendship always wins, guys. So like even though like he watched his friend have like his jaw broken, best believe that friendship will win in the end.
Oh,
Um
in the end, we're here for
in
the
the
long
end.
run.
Yeah. We're in for a long time, not a good time. But next up we got the Kyle O'Reilly versus Roddy video package. Um what do you think about that we're doing the match quite early on? I thought we'd kind of build tensions a bit more, but then I kind of thought to myself, well, what the fuck else does Undisputed Kingdom have to do? Because Wardlow
Yeah,
lost. He didn't pick up the world title, and then that was kind of like, oh, Wardlow, fuck you, and then there was no fallout from that. And then Cole's just kind of, well, essentially there was a report that came out that he's still injured, and he's even cut back on his TV date, so they're just kind of using him as of when for like backstage video packages. But God, that how far have they fallen from grace?
it's
Can
such
we
a
just
shame.
talk about
And
that for a moment? Because all that momentum that story had to
yeah,
now.
yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad for everyone involved, really. And I think that the yeah, I'm skeptical about Roddy and Kyle facing off, like you say. But again, what they need to do something to rescue this and bring it back up.
To at least have it have a degree of relevancy.
Yeah, and this feels like probably the only thing they could do.
I thought they were going to take over, like when they first introduced, like take over the whole of Dynamite, and it was going to be like the Devil era almost.
Mm,
But obviously, I'm kind of glad that we didn't, or we've kind of pivoted a bit because that was never going to work because of the people you chose to be in that faction. Again, no discredit to those people, but other than like Cole, like, do they have the charisma to carry the whole of the top end
yeah.
of the men's division? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
But
It's just
they were,
a fact,
but the
isn't it?
faction was built before they existed as this is like the ultimate threat. But then
Yeah.
again, the threat is we're going to destroy MJF, but then we've destroyed MJF. So what really is our purpose now other than getting the world title? Which suddenly, because Wardlow didn't win once, now we don't care about. It's just a bit
Yeah, I
weird.
do. Yeah, I know, I know. You'd think that Roddy would want to go for it, but obviously he's the got the other championship. But you'd think that'd be his goal. But he's already champion, so he apparently doesn't want it. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, when MJF comes back and they're going to do the Cole feud, and it will be great and full of emotion, but at the same time, I don't know. It's just really just fallen flat. It just has no momentum behind it, no threat. I mean, they don't even make reference to the devil at all.
no, they
Like
don't.
they, I think they had like the T-shirt with the devil mask on at the start, but now it's just Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah, capitalize on that shit. That was red fucking heart.
Yeah, so
Mm,
but again, like obviously the injury cannot be helped, and
yeah,
if he can't work the dates, he can't work the dates. But maybe then we shouldn't have made him the devil, even though it made the most sense. Maybe we shouldn't have done that.
but then we're stuck in the thing of, well, who else? And then that could have gone
But I
who
still think
knows
that would have
what
been
way.
better than what we've got right now. Because what we've got
Mm,
right now is no presence on TV.
yeah, it's just
I
there's
think Cole could have still been a part of the faction, but the actual devil, the figurehead, could have been someone else. And
right,
Cole could have
yeah,
been like persuaded to have joined it or whatever. And you can still have that tie-in of betrayal of where when MJF comes back, they can have it out. But
yeah,
you know, if you'd have made like Swerve, and again, like it makes less sense, but Swerve and I know now we've got Swerve as a babyface, but back then, like he could have been that hot heel. Um,
yeah. I
yeah, even
totally get
Jack
it.
Perry, even Jack, you know, you're gonna laugh, but even
Imagine,
Jack Perry would have been better than
imagine.
And at the time, the reaction wouldn't have been as good. I'll tell you that. And I know it's like hindsight, but is it hindsight if you knew he had quite a long-term injury?
Yeah,
Or
because
did they think that he was going to heal quite fast?
they must have thought that. They must have, because
I mean, it is just a small ankle injury, and all he did was step off like a step. And it's caused this much. Like, it's insane, isn't it, really?
at least
But
there's the potential to pick up the momentum again once he's back, like you say. But it's the long game, and you want it like, you don't want to be stuck where we are now, which is with nothing.
yes, obviously, because we've got nothing, we've now pushed forward this match, Kyle O'Reilly versus Roddy. I'm sure it'll be fantastic, and I'm sure they'll play into obviously they have a long history,
Hmm.
and I'm sure they'll do some great in-ring work. So next up, the main event. I did think of you when I saw this was announced.
Yay, thanks.
Take it away. Take it
I
away.
mean, what I knew it was going to be a good match, and I knew that Ospreay was going to win, and I
Yeah,
was
you
right on
always
both.
knew that he was
Yeah,
going to
I
win.
think everyone.
Unfortunately for you.
There was no doubt, was there really? But I was right on both of those things, and yeah, it was incredible. It was just those two men just showing what they do best. You got like the clash of styles with Claudio's obviously like incredibly humanly strong, but Osprey's got the agility. But at the same time, I think this is really good. You you got Osprey as well, who's also strong, but you might not immediately think that he is. And also Claudio's really athletic and agile too, but you might not immediately think that he is. So they're very evenly matched. It just made for a really, really good, entertaining, thrilling. Like there was lots of near falls, and obviously, like I say, we all sort of knew that Osprey was obviously going to win, because he has to be strong going into Dynasty this weekend. But like, there was still loads of near falls.
But what do you think of like still no Danielson? Like, because I
He's
thought like because you kind of pointed out towards the end, like they sort of had that thing with Shibata, and then he was like kind of cutting promos on him, and then he's been like fighting other people. And I get that it's kind of like that working up to it to like the final boss, but they've really like you'd have thought like there'd be some kind of tension, or like Danielson talking down to him maybe like in a promo being like, "You'll never be good enough to fight me." Like I'm very curious as to why he's not been used on TV.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the maybe they think that if they don't interact, it's just gonna create, I don't know, maybe more intrigue or something. But
I mean, they didn't have to actually touch each other. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Like, don't get them in the ring. Don't have them like take a shot at each other. But there could have been like a contract signing. There could have been
yeah, I
some other element.
yeah, I
I
would
don't know.
have liked to seen maybe Danielson coming out at the end of this, because we had Mox
Yeah,
coming out
like
with
what the
various
hell?
shenanigans. It seemed a bit like, why isn't Danielson there? Maybe that was done on purpose to make us think, why is he not there? Like,
I
is
don't
it
think
sort
so.
of like, I
I
don't know,
don't think
maybe
so.
is it sort of like, I don't know, like overthinking this, like kayfabe, but is Danielson like, I want to play mind games with him. I'm not showing up, not letting him
Yeah,
like get his hands on me or see me at all. I don't know.
but you could at least like cut like a backstage interview with like kind of like with the Joan Swear thing where Renee's asking and he's like kind of it's not even allowing it to sort of enter his brain that that's a threat, you know. Just something to remind us of his presence. Unless my only thing is maybe this is a long-term thing and they're gonna have a rematch and so we're elongating it. That's the only way it makes sense to me is like the match is gonna be a banger. So like it would make sense to me that you'd want to have two. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Danielson picks up this win, Osprey picks up the next, and then in the second half, then we do all the sort of together things and we do the impassioned promos and we take the feud up a notch. That is the only
Yeah,
way it would make sense in my mind.
maybe we do
Because
that at
otherwise, what a
Wembley.
waste. What a waste of those two's talents. But at Wembley, I'm assuming Swerve's going to be champion, and you'd put Osprey because he is the UK wrestler, you put him in the main event against Swerve and let him have the win. That to me is like, so wouldn't make sense. Or it would,
Yeah,
but just not as good.
yeah, I see what you're saying. I feel like if they have, well, like you say, we know it's probably going to be a banger. That, like you say, if they build up that for the second match, they're full of hatred and there's been lots of build. I think it would make perfect sense to have that on a huge stage.
Yeah, but we just don't know at this point. So all we can go off is that the match is at Dynasty and the build just hasn't been as satisfying as what it could be.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I don't know, I haven't thought, oh, I wish they'd done this. I don't know, to me it's just kind of worked. For the sort of person that I think Brian is. I don't know.
But that's fine if he wants to be nonchalant, but at least let's see it on screen.
Mm.
Let's just see him like not give a fuck on screen.
I
Let's
wonder
see him
if
like let's
yeah.
see him backstage be followed by Renee, be like, Danielson, a question, and he's just like, let's see that.
Mm.
I shouldn't have to guess. I shouldn't have to sit here and like theorize why Danielson isn't
Yeah.
talking to Osprey. If I'm having to question the motive, you're not telling the story well enough. I'm not saying hold my hand through the story, but at least
Give me
lay out the
something.
points. Give me
Mm.
something. That's all I'm asking. But
Got
yeah,
that.
this match concluded. Obviously, like you say, it was apparent that Osprey was going to win. He won with the hidden blade. It was a very close call, though. Claudio did not look weak at all in this match. He
No.
shone, um,
And
and he
I
made
was very happy for him that in a match against someone like Osprey, who is so over, and he's basic like, one of the biggest stars that they've got in AEW.
biggest
Someone,
babyface
yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
minute. Yeah,
Um, that people were chanting like "Let's go Osprey," and Claudio's
they were,
still
and
getting chants.
Claudio. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
It
like,
was. Yeah,
that's amazing for him. I'm really happy for him for that because that's not easily done. And when he was wrestling in WWE, he never really, well, he did sort of, but never really got that sort of appreciation. He didn't really get
that
over like that.
fanfare.
So
No, no.
very, very happy to hear that. Obviously, I'm
Yeah,
biased.
it's a credit to his work in AEW.
Yeah.
And essentially then the Don Callis family came out and attacked Claudia. Don Callis was on comms the whole time as well, which elevated the match even more. So
I
we've
agree.
commented many times on how much we enjoy his style of commentary.
100%
Um,
agree.
and Osprey is kind of sort of on the fringe of the Callis family.
Mm,
Um, and then it makes sense, as we said, the BCC DC feud that's ongoing. And so that occurred, then Mox came out and went straight for Hobbs. So essentially that furthered that feud
hmm
as well. So all threaded together really nicely.
Yeah, but we didn't have Danielson. That would have been
No.
a perfect moment for him to come
Cherry
out.
on the cake.
hmm
Will he show up at Dynasty? Who knows at this point?
That would be fucking in a
That would not be
really
brilliant. But
sick
you
and
dare say
twisted
that would be
way. It would be
brilliant.
amazing if he didn't.
And so after that, the go home angle was the Swerve and Joe confrontation. Swerve came out, called Joe out. Joe came out surrounded by a swarm of security. Why we couldn't have double hired them that night for the Jericho hook thing with like I don't know. Maybe they are on a fat paycheck. I don't know. But the highlight of this was Swerve doing the Swerve stomp on like 8 security. It was
At one
great.
time, yeah, it was
And
like
they all just fell down, like, but not in like the way of like when someone does like a tope suicina and like they
slow,
catch and then
like
fall. It was like I don't know, like all kind of held their hands out in like 2 columns and then oh, it was just so satisfying. It was so
it was.
satisfying.
Yeah, it was like Mario stomping on a Goomba. That's the vibe I got.
Yes, that was the physics. Um, and then Swerve had the advantage. He was just kicking the shit out of Joe's head. It was pretty gnarly. But then he got caught up on the top rope, and Joe went in for the muscle buster and just all stood over him, raising the title.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, effective segment. It was like short and sweet, but it did what it needed to do, like in terms of making me really excited for the match. Not, I
Yeah,
don't think
because
either of them looked like weak or anything, and I think you get that impression that they both got a solid chance at the weekend.
it was that little tease of like you got the tease of seeing Swerve and be awesome and be cool and like you're like, oh my god, yes. But then he couldn't quite do it. And it's like you have to buy the pay-per-view on Sunday if you want to see him do it.
hmm
And I mean we'll get into predictions in a minute, but like surely you would think that Swerve is winning.
You that's where it seems to be leading us.
But there was no Hangman.
Sad times.
Hangman's shadow looms. Will Hangman be there at Dynasty? Or is he just waiting for as soon as he gets that title and like the first, as soon as he comes out on Wednesday with his title and then like Hangman, he just comes out like immediately, like just starts beating him up. Like that would be my preferred method. Like I genuinely hope Hangman doesn't cost the title for Joe, but definitely like if I was to book it, because obviously I am the greatest booker in the world, he wins, but then like I say, first segment immediately just out there, like back to the blood feud.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I want Swerve to win it by himself. He deserves that sort of like ultimate win, like the clean win. But
And the recognition and
yeah,
solidifying him as a legit champion. Um
100%.
but yeah, it left me really hyped
Me
um
too.
for the main event, and so that was very effective. So what do we think of the show overall? Like what's our rating?
Well, I feel like we've been quite harsh these last couple of weeks, haven't we? Because they've not been that good. Um,
No, they have
I
not.
feel like this week an 8 is kind of where I'm leaning.
I agree with an 8. There was nothing like super exciting, like super revolutionary, because they can't be. It's a go home show. It's the closing angles,
Hmm.
and you can't do your massive things because you're saving that for the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
But as
and
far
you
as
don't want to
like,
get injured as well.
yeah, but as far as a go home show goes, it was effective. I'd watch it anyway because I'm a fucking Mac, but I'm excited to watch it.
Mm.
And yeah, and it was just simple and like we've said it many times throughout this episode, simple and effective, and
Yeah,
it worked.
yeah, precisely. It was like
So 8 out of 10.
it was an entertaining episode of television, and they did well to continue some of the stories without like what WWE do a lot is the go home shows are just like so fucking boring and predictable. And it's just like we're gonna stick these people in a tag team match and you're gonna enjoy it because the main thing's coming up this weekend, so we're not gonna give you nothing. It wasn't like that. It was like actually you need to watch this. This matters for what you're gonna see at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure we will be reviewing Dynasty on Sunday. Well, not on when it comes out, but on Monday. Um, we will be reviewing. So hopefully sometime early next week that'll be up because yeah, I'm sure there will be a hell of a lot to talk about, and I'm very intrigued. Will Jack Perry debut? I don't think
Oh
so, but ooh, juicy,
yeah, I don't
juicy.
think so either. But that little bit of that
That
sprinkling
little
of
bit of hope.
possibility.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, so that was the show. So we are going to get into our predictions, but before we do, we're just going to touch on some news topics as usual. So first of all, a bit of positivity. Ruby Soho and Angela Parker,
Oh,
they're having a baby. That's cute.
how wholesome that was. I saw like a clip that someone put up like after the show finished airing, they were like in the ring and stuff announcing that. And I think it was like was it the first time that he found out as well? That's very sweet.
Yeah, very, very cute. Obviously they've had even before they were in a relationship, but like they've been putting their relationship on screen, so it is a nice moment to share with the audience.
Mm-hmm. Definitely very
Um,
wholesome.
yeah, that's and then on to some unwholesome news. I don't know if you saw this, but essentially, Nyla Rose wrestled in Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma Athlete Committee wrote a complaint to AEW saying that because she is a transgender woman, that it is wrong for her to be in a match with a biological woman.
Yeah, that
Wrestling
was
is real in Oklahoma.
it.
It's a real
It's
sport.
obvious. It's obviously disgusting, but it's also weird on a different level because it's like you say, apparently they think wrestling is real. Why does this even exist? Why are they trying to legislate pro wrestling. It's ridiculous on so many levels, and
It is
the
ridiculous.
the statement that they wrote is disgusting. They're like misgendering her the whole way through. It's completely just disgusting, and I was really happy to see Tony's like response to it. It's quite recently, like just in the last couple of hours, I think he said I don't know if it was like in an interview or something, or he sent a statement. Um, but he basically said, well, Nyla's done so much for this company, and she or no other transgender people deserve discrimination, and I'm not sure exactly what the next steps going forward are, but all I've seen is solidarity from absolutely everyone, including wrestlers who are currently signed for AEW. So like they're having their say. So, why would you want to take your company back to Oklahoma after that?
Yeah.
Money. I mean, yeah.
I mean, apparently it all kind of came out because I think an indie show had some kind of intergender wrestling, and
Mm,
then the committee had gone for them, and then they'd been like, oh well, the precedent's been set because of AEW had allowed it
mm.
with Nyla Rose, and then that's when they wrote that letter. But yeah, just absolutely disgusting. I mean, I I can't I just can't even, I mean, and that's probably a good thing that I can't even wrap my head around it because just what the hell. Nyla Rose, like I said, fantastic competitor, a day one competitor, very underrated, like one of the most underrated people in the women's division. She always puts on a hell of a show. She's got a great character, great look. And it's just disgusting. But again, the positivity online and the outreach of love and that the outrage against the outrage has been way bigger than um
Mm.
the small sector of bigots. So
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's nice when it's obviously never nice when something like this happens, but you get that like wave of support, which is nice to see that we'll all come together when it's something like this that we can all agree is fucking
yeah.
ridiculous and disgusting.
Yeah, so just total insanity. Um Also segueing into insanity, we have another part in the Meltzer Bischoff drama. This time
Yeah,
on grammar.
I
So
saw this. I actually did see this
okay,
on
so
Twitter.
essentially Meltzer were just doing his usual chatter of AEW and just his thoughts and opinions. Someone took offense. Translation: people who don't like AEW are stupid in Dave's opinion. Shaking my head. People pay him for this. Amazing. Meltzer then had a hefty little reply to that. Never said anything remotely close to that. You must have a real problem in your own head to come up with the idea that those who complain about reporting the demo and are WWE fans as well, comma, miss that WWE benefits just the same because both WWE and AEW draws younger audiences than most sports except soccer and UFC and sometimes NBA. Yeah, reading that out, I can kind of, yeah. So clearly his point, but it's not about the point. It's about, if you noticed with my retelling of that tweet, I was struggling a bit there because I couldn't take in a breath because it wasn't properly punctuated. Bischoff then fucking responded with a screen grab. This is so ridiculous. A screen grab of he basically googled comma and the definition of comma in the Oxford Dictionary. This is so petty. To which Meltzer responds, one of us goes bankrupt and destroys businesses. The other needs to insert a comma. Just brilliant. Just so
Oh,
stupid.
these two, I swear to God, are they working us all? Because this is a fucking class feud. This is entertaining. I love it. I love it. Give me
Oh,
more
the
of this.
level of pettiness.
Yeah.
This is what we say when we want drama in wrestling. It's just
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous.
Give me more of this feud.
Yeah.
Give me more of these two old men bashing their keyboards.
Exactly. But wow,
So
he did. I think Meltzer came out on top in that argument. In
yeah,
my opinion,
yeah.
because yeah, I'm looking forward to the next segment in their feud. Yeah. So now we're gonna run down the list of matches on the Dynasty card, and we're just gonna go through our predictions just for a bit of fun. There's no stakes, although in the future there might be stakes.
Mm.
Maybe hair versus hair,
Oh my god.
career versus career. One of us leaves the podcast. Who knows?
Loser leaves the podcast.
Yeah.
What a great angle. Good idea. Make a note of that.
Hot angles coming soon. But yeah, we're just gonna go down who we think's gonna win. So first of all, we'll just go for the trios title because I did just see that Tony Khan has literally now, as we are recording, just announced that it is for the undisputed trios title. So the acclaimed versus the Bang Bang Gang. Whoever wins, the titles will be unified, which thank fuck for that. So yeah, who are we thinking is gonna win for that?
I think the Bang Bang Gang are gonna win. And I think that they should win because I think the acclaimed are kind of going a bit cold. I don't know, I feel like they're not really that entertaining anymore. And I don't know. I think Jay White needs it more. And like people have been complaining that he's been a bit flat in AEW. Not that I fully agree with that. I don't think he has been completely flat, but I would
Well, he
love to
sort of like
see them
was
with the
going
title.
up, and then the MJF feud kind of cut his momentum out a bit, and then he's done some great work
Yeah,
with the guns. But yeah, not to the
yeah,
same heights, and it would be nice to see him go back to those heights because he's fantastic. Yeah, I agree. Like the acclaimed at the end of the day, they've done all they can with the trios belts. They've had a great babyface run. What more can they possibly do? Uh,
yeah,
but
exactly.
the guns, they kind of need it, and
Yeah,
Jay White need it as well because it's just gonna like they have the Ring of Honor trios, but that's obviously the secondary title, you know. Um, and it's gonna just solidify that mean streak that because before it was kind of goofy, then they kind of beat him up a little bit, but let's proper just beat the fuck out of him.
yes.
Um, and yeah, but I mean, I hope that they're not tied up with the trio titles too long because it would be nice to see Jay White eventually go off and do something
Yeah.
independently, separately. Like, but this can just be like another little booster.
Yeah, this is like a launching pad to that, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. So great news that they unified it though. So then we've got Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe versus the House of Black.
Uh, I mean, probably, I guess Adam Copeland picking up the pin for a feel good moment, get him, get a cheap pop from that. That's pretty much how I see that going, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. This is probably for me like the weakest match on the card. Like, I don't
Yeah,
really care. I mean, House of Black
yeah.
in general don't really give a fuck about. It just feels like a bit. I get
Bit
why
thrown
the
together.
faces all have a bit of beef with House of Black. Like, it makes sense, but like, it's not it's not like a blood feud. It's not. The stakes
Yeah,
aren't super high.
yeah.
Um, I'm sure it'll be a great technical match, but like, I hope it's short, sweet, and just to the point, really, because yeah. Um. Then we have Will Ospreay versus Danielson.
I haven't even, you know what? I haven't even thought about who is gonna win this. I've just been thinking about how good it's gonna be. I think Osprey is probably going to win because he's new, he's fresh. He probably actually I was gonna say I think he needs to win more, but like he's red hot and Danielson's on his retirement run pretty much. But no, I still think Osprey. I think Osprey, and after that we have Danielson trying to like prove himself, and he's like, I want to go out on a high note. I'm not going out on that sort of thing.
I think it's more interesting to do it the other way around though, of
Mm,
like Osprey's coming hot and he's like all guns blazing, and then it's like he kind of has his first little setback.
Mm.
And then maybe that can lean into something, I don't know, like with the Callis family, like maybe because I'm not super into him like being in the Callis family.
Mm.
So I'd
Me
like to
either.
maybe just tie up that end and maybe like write him out. Maybe like Callis is like, "What are you doing? Like, why would you lose to Danielson?" And then da da da. But
Mm.
I don't know, I just think, especially since tonight we've discussed like this being a 2-match feud. Now I'm like, I'm really into my idea of like Danielson, and I think it's more interesting Danielson like being on that high and being like confident, and then who's he gonna go against next?
Mm.
And then yeah, I don't know, but I think logically, like Osprey as the new fresh talent that they want to protect, like he probably will. Just it'll be a simple, good, technical wrestling match. Osprey will pick up the win. Danielson will acknowledge him, and he'll go on his merry way.
Mm. That's what I think. But your idea sounds really good. That would be better. But
It's just more, maybe not better, but just I'm in. All my suggestions tonight have just been purely out of interesting. You know,
Mhm.
like both
The
of all of
story.
it's fine, but it's just that little somewhat unexpected because it gets
Mm.
boring when it's predictable. I
Yeah.
want to be surprised. I want to be like, "Whoa, Danielson won!
Mm.
What? Like, what's the?" And then it'll be more interesting discussing it come Monday night, and we're like, "What does
What the
this mean?"
hell?
Rather
Yeah.
than what does it mean Osprey won? Well, obviously it means that you know, it's just more
Well, yeah.
simple. But we'll see. Um, so Okada versus Pac, and this is for the AEW Continental Championship. Okada's winning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I totally agree. I mean, yeah, it's I don't want to repeat what I just said with Osprey, but it's a similar thing. Like he's recently arrived, he's really hot, and you wanna capitalize on that momentum. Um, Pax, as good as he is, he's not on that same like superstar level.
Well, he just
As
ain't around enough to be. He could
mm,
be. He could very easily be. He could be in the top. He could be in the world, you know, the main event scene. But he doesn't want. The whole reason he's at AEW is he wants to be at home. He don't want to
yeah,
move to America, so he's not gonna. You know, he's not gonna be around enough. But again, even though I'm kind of contradicting myself, it wouldn't make. I'm even though it's
no, it's
predictable
different.
for
It's different.
Okada to win. Like,
Hmm.
it would be shocking if Pac won, but that would be a bad shock. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yes, it makes complete sense. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, we're agreeing pretty much on all these so far. I'm proud of us.
Mm.
So next up, which yeah, I mean, I don't really know for this one. The Young Bucks versus the FTR in a ladder match for the tag team titles. What are you thinking?
Oh
Because I don't have a clue.
no, I. Mm, yeah, me
Maybe
neither.
FTR just to watch the Bucks just dissolve even further and just you've got to think always what's going to take the character to the next level. And like with the Osprey thing, him and like the Danielson thing, what's the most interesting? Well, yeah, it makes sense for the Bucks to win because they didn't win at Wembley and they're finally going to get that win. But you know, why, what's more interesting? Watching these heels lose their mind and maybe become even more manipulative EVPs and even more corrupt. That to
I
me is more interesting.
yeah, I think the Young Bucks are gonna win though. I can just see it. I can just see them being
Yeah, I think
like
so as
everything you
well.
just said, like the corrupt EVPs, but with the belts and everything they've said and done is like now backed up, and it's like maybe they don't want to defend them or they're cheating to defend them. I don't know. I can
But maybe is that like leaning into X-Pac heat? Whereas I
yes,
feel like the heat that you would get from being corrupt and wanting to get the belts, like you don't have so much so that the audience who already kind of has real heat with them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
yeah,
like if they're given the titles and then they're EVPs and they're in everyone's face, like is that just too much heat?
yes. But
It's fine.
I think
It's
they'd go
fine.
for that
But
though. I think they'd
I
be up for
agree.
that.
But you know, it could be great. It could be great, and it could be done really, really well. They've been doing great work so far, but I need to stop you know, because I'm answering this as what I would book rather than like what my prediction is.
Mm.
Yeah, sure. The Young Bucks win. That's my prediction.
Right.
Um, then Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale for the TBS. I think Willow is winning purely because we're building towards the feud with Monet versus Willow at Double or Nothing, and Julia's grown quite stale, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know because I feel like they're also kind of building to. Again, it's super convoluted, and in some sense,
God
it's
knows
like
what they're building towards,
Mercedes
essentially.
versus Julia. You know, my instinct when I was watching Dynamite was that I thought Julia was going to retain, so I'm going to stick with that. And I think, I don't know, that's just the impression that I got, and just from watching Dynamite, I can't remember exactly what it was that made me think that, but I just remember thinking, I don't see her losing this belt. She just has this aura about her. I don't know. Yeah.
For me, the
Even though
aura's
I
kind of
think you're
faded
right.
though a bit.
Hmm?
Like for me, the aura's kind of faded a bit.
Mm,
Like it's just a bit samey for me now. Like I was
I
really
totally
happy
get
when she
that.
won it, and I think the crowd was really, really, really behind her. But I do think she's losing momentum, and I think it's very subtle. So I don't think a lot of people are really picking up on it. But if you compared, like literally at the end of last year, it was like this is the wrestler who's had the most improvement.
Hmm.
You know, that was like and who's had the biggest like improvement in terms of like popularity. It'd be Julia Hart's up in that conversation, but now is she still to that degree of popularity? It used to be if you like ask people who were like the wrestlers you're most excited about, in that five, Julia Hart would be a name. But I think if you ask someone now, what five wrestlers are you most excited about? I don't think she'd be in the conversation anymore.
Yeah, no, you are right. Yeah.
So you got to
Yeah.
go with the crowd really and the popularity. But yeah, I'm going for Willow anyway.
I'm gonna go for Julia. Let's disagree on this one. That makes it a bit more interesting, doesn't it?
It does. And then we have our second women's match for the women's title, which is Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. I think Toni Storm is picking up the win.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we've really got enough momentum with Thunder Rosa for her to pick up the win in this one. And,
No,
you
it's been
know,
kind of like quite thrown together, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. And everyone seems to
And the
be,
go home angle was her putting lipstick on her face.
yes,
Something
yes, it
tells me
was.
she's not a big enough threat.
Hmm. I completely agree. And yeah, like she just doesn't have that championship vibe about her. I don't think it would do anyone any favors for her to win. Especially not considering how sort of hot Tony Storm is at the moment too.
Yeah, definitely. So then the concluding main event will be Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland. I think we both got our money on Swerve.
100%. 100%. I think it's been building for long enough. We need that satisfying ending. And I'm
Yeah.
really excited for it.
And we've gone over that quite a lot, like today about our thoughts and feelings. So I think, you know, you understand why what we think about that. But yeah, it's looking like a great pay-per-view. I don't think it's
I'm
gonna be
really
like the
excited.
best pay-per-view of all time because like I said, there's a few weak matches on it. Um and again, like it's not one of the big four, but I think it's gonna be a great pay-per-view. And the a great thing about AEW pay-per-views is the names kind of leads into what you're going to get. Like World's End, it was Matt MJF's World's End. Dynasty, and when we first heard Dynasty, we both said maybe maybe this is the crowning jewel of the Undisputed Kingdom, because Kingdom, Dynasty, you connotate those two ways together. Obviously that's shot now. But
Mm.
is it the Mogul Embassy? Is it the dynasty of the Mogul? Is it the new dynasty
Mm-hmm.
of Swerve?
100%. I think so. I think considering like just it didn't feel that long ago when we were like, oh, they've just announced this new pay-per-view and they don't have very long to build to it.
No,
Considering
the
we
pay-per-view
are,
build has felt really fast, but I think that's just because all the crap in between, like especially last week's like all in footage, like that's all we were talking about, you know. So it's felt a bit weird, the build.
yeah, but at the same time, I think it's been good. Because obviously there's a lot of big stories that are
Yeah, and the go home
supposedly
show
gonna come to
was
an end.
great,
Hmm.
and we're excited. And a lot of these there has been build. I mean, yeah, like the All In thing that we were talking about last week was to build the ladder match. Whether that was effective or not is disputed. But yeah, and last I want to ask what your prediction is for your match of the night.
Danielson Osprey. I feel like it's meant to be. It's written in the stars. Knowing those two. What about you?
I'm really torn because I think emotionally, Swerve, if he wins, it will be the best match of the night.
Right,
But I
yeah,
think from a
that'll be the
technical,
moment of the night, I think.
I think from a technical standpoint, the Bucks versus FTR is already going to be a banger. But then you're throwing in the ladders into the mix. I'm sorry, but it's going to be phenomenal. And I think, like you said, Ospreay and Danielson will be a very close contender as well. It's going to be absolutely stacked. And yeah, we will be covering it. So don't
I look forward
anticipate
to
the
that.
pay-per-view. Anticipate our opinions.
Of course, yeah, because that's what really matters. That's what people are really here for, right? Like, our thoughts.
Well, what else are they here for?
You
But
have to watch amazing wrestling? No, you want to hear people criticize the wrestling.
yeah, pretty much. Say what they would do instead. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for today's stacked episode. We've covered a lot.
We certainly have. Yeah, it's been a good one. Very excited for the pay-per-view this weekend. So yeah, you're gonna have to keep an eye out for that episode, and be easier for you to do that if you subscribe and follow on Spotify. And if you could leave us a rating on Spotify, that'd be amazing. Share it with your friends if you want. Yeah, and feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Let us know
And
your
any questions that
predictions.
you have, especially like any related to the pay-per-view, we would love to answer them. And
Yeah,
we will be back next week.
be back very soon. Goodbye.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night,
I wish you died in the womb!